Hello people, welcome back to Kayla Creates. I'm Kayla, and today I'm going to be doing an overly critical analysis of all three of the Little Mermaids, plus the series you didn't know existed. One day, I was just bored on Disney Plus and decided to randomly marathon all of them in order, and going off of that, the original came out in 1989, The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea, the sequel came out in 2000, and The Little Mermaid 3, the prequel, came out in 2008, but for the sake of the video and my own sanity, I'm just going to be referring them as 1, 2, and 3, even though it's technically 1, 2, and 3. I do want to say, when I was going back to look up certain clips on YouTube that I needed to put in this video, I started to get Cocomelon recommendations, which I don't want to think about that anymore, but alright, so number 1, or technically 3, Ariel's beginning. It shows how Athena's mom died and how music was banned in the kingdom and how Ariel restores it. Okay, so at the beginning, they're all chilling on the rocks. Triton gives his wife, Athena, Ariel's mom, a music box. Then they see that a giant ship is coming toward them, and they all flee, and then Athena realizes she forgot her music box. She left it on the thing, and it was, obviously very special to her. She goes back to get it and gets crushed between the ship and the rocks. I know I'm kind of laughing a little bit. It's just oh my gosh, it's tragic. It's tragic, okay? It's so sad. So as a result, Triton yeets the music box back into the sea. He bans music, and the rest of the movie follows Ariel rebelling, as always. Our villain is named Marina Del Rey, and as it shows Ariel restoring music in the kingdom, it also shows Marina trying to do Sebastian in. Marina is the sister's governess, and she hates her job, which is made very clear throughout the movie.
I hate this job.
And she wants Sebastian's job, so she's just trying to catch him in one little mistake. It also shows where when Ariel meets Flounder and how it shows him being part of a secret illegal music club, and a little bit in, she follows Flounder secretly to that music club and finds out that there's illegal happenings, but she loves it. The big reveal is that Sebastian, right-hand man to the king, is in this music. He's the leader of this music club. It's pretty great, actually. I love it. So Ariel brings back her sisters a little bit later to show them the music club, because they're like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of mom, which is super sweet. Then eventually Triton finds out about the music club, and he arrests Sebastian and a few other fish. Ariel breaks them out. They go to a place where they can make music, and then there's this battle where Marina's like, I'm just gonna kill you myself. It's a little dark for a Disney movie, okay? Anyway, and then Triton comes in and stops it and brings back music. So it's a really good premise and a really cute story. It shows all the family relationships really well, and I liked seeing how they all got along with one another and how they all had personalities instead of just them being sisters as their character. One of her sisters, her whole personality, like I said, I'm glad that they got personalities, but this one sister's whole personality is she's boy crazy. Every single time she's on screen, she's either hitting on a guy, talking about how she hasn't been kissed yet, talking about this guy that she saw yesterday, and it's it's honestly so annoying. We get it, you're straight. I love Marina's voice. It's so expressive and dynamic, and oh my gosh, it's the best voice acting I've ever heard. I love it so much. And she has a song a little bit in, which I just realized was illegal. I literally didn't even realize that she was singing in her room in the castle where it's illegal until I started recording this, and I don't know why I just realized that. She starts singing, but it's actually kind of disappointing because it's more of singy talking, and it's just lacking. It's just lackluster. It's singing talking rather than actually singing notes. I don't know. It was just it would have just been so cool to hear her actually sing at a different range and belt it out. That just would have been so nice, but it's kind of just rhythmic singy talking. Also, I want to have an appreciation moment for Benjamin the manatee's fat folds and the key that he hides in his neck, and Marina's bald freaking head, which is creepy as heck. So a little bit in, they're going to meet their father, which is sad that they have to treat him as a king instead of a father. But they go and they do their morning hello or their morning greeting or whatever. And Ariel is like, I thought we could go for a swim on the reef.
Go for a swim on the reef? The morning walk?
It was a straight to DVD sequel, so I'll just let it pass this time. One thing I do want to say was that Ariel just didn't seem like the same character. In the original, she was established to be a literal teenager, a 16-year-old, immature, naive, And in this movie, paints her out to be mature and not naive and like just very rational. Her rebelling feels 100% justified. It feels like she was making her decisions with more thought put behind them rather than just, you know, super sudden, like all of a sudden signing her life away to a sea witch. It feels more thought through, and it just doesn't feel like the same character. So like I said earlier, Flounder unintentionally leads Ariel to the music club, which just felt like a breath of fresh air. Like, it was so cool, and I loved the songs that they played in it. But then when she's singing, there's like this weird cut in the middle of the song that I just don't get. Probably just an editing issue, but I don't even know. Flounder's beatboxing right here reminds me of something. So now we're to the part where they're off in this like ocean wasteland where they can make music. And it just kind of goes through the love story of Athena and Triton again, which is so cute and so heartbreaking. Sebastian purposely, without anybody else knowing, purposely leads Ariel to where he knows that music box is. And he even like made sure, he like planned it all out and made sure that she would have a few minutes alone to just like listen to the music and just remember and just discover it for herself. And I just think that's the cutest thing ever. And then he comes in and explains like how much he loved her, and it's just so sad. It's heartbreaking, and it's so sweet. And I just love how Sebastian made sure that she would find the music box and how she would have her moment with it. It's so cute. So that's Ariel's beginning. Overall, a very cute movie. Very little plot holes, all things considered, especially the fact that it's just a straight to DVD Disney sequel. 8 out of 10. Would watch again. All right, so the original. I'm so excited to talk about this one. This is literally my favorite show. Still is one of my favorite shows. I would literally cry if I didn't get to watch this while my cousin was babysitting me. So I don't feel like I really need to explain the premise. I mean, it's The Little Mermaid. We all know what happens. It was so nostalgic for me. Like, I turned it on. I hadn't watched it in a while, but I turned it on and I was like, oh my gosh. It was like when you open up the dishwasher or the oven when it's still like sweltering hot and you're just hit with a blast of hot air that like melts your makeup off. That's what happened to me, but the hot air was nostalgia. I just adore the blurriness of the opening scene. Like, nothing tops that. I love it so much. Just the way that there's the blur when the fish dives back into the water and like all the bubbles and it's just like ripply. Oh, it just looks so good. It's so immersive. I just love it so much. And the lighting and the depth of the scenes of this original movie is just so immersive in a way that the other two movies failed to be. And I love the other two movies, but nothing will ever compare to those effects that they had at the establishing scenes. I love it so much. The songs bop so hard in this movie. I love all the songs. Like, every single one just hits right on. Every single song in this movie is just perfect. Just love them. When I got to the Under the Sea song, I love the song and I love all of the animation and the colors for it, but the only thing I could think of was, I can't believe she just stitched the biggest bop in the whole show. Like, she just swam away in the middle of it.
Well, Angelfish, the solution to your problem is simple.
Okay, not gonna lie, I've always wanted Ursula's lipstick. I'm so biased for this movie. Like, I didn't analyze it as critically as I did the other two because nostalgia, but the only complaint I do have is the love story. Like, it feels a little bit more natural in the second one, the third, whatever, Return to the Sea, but it's just like, it's so sudden. Like, it went from 0 to 60. It's not meant to be analyzed as much as I am right now, so it's fine. Overall, 11 out of 10. Will watch again tomorrow. Alright, so the third and last movie before we talk about the series is The Little Mermaid Return to the Sea. So this movie is about Ariel a few years later. She has a daughter, and her name is Melody. They have a little christening, I think it's like a baby shower or whatever, I don't know, a post-baby shower on the ship out at sea, and Triton comes, gives her a locket that has her name on it, Melody. Right after he gives her locket, the party is wrecked by
Ursula's crazy sister!
And then Ariel's like, we can't let Melody into the sea, she can't even know about you, or she's gonna want to be curious. Like, we just can't take that risk. So she gives the locket back. Triton just drops it into the sea. And 12 years later, we see that there's giant walls built around the sea. But Melody takes after her mother, finds a way to get back into the sea. One of her favorite pastimes is treasure hunting on the seafloor. By the way, she can talk to Sebastian and Flounder and Scuttle, but other than that, she doesn't know anything. She just thinks that she's a person who likes the sea and that her mom, for some reason, hates the sea. So while she's treasure hunting, she finds her locket and she rubs off the dirt and she finds out that it says her name on it and is very understandably upset with her parents for not telling her this because she loves the sea. Then Morgana's little henchman shark person comes and says, guess what? I can take you to somebody who can give you answers. So she goes there. Morgana turns her into a mermaid for a little bit. Morgana tells Melody, who doesn't know anything, that her trident was stolen from her by this guy named Triton, and that it's actually her trident, but she hasn't been able to get it back. So she's like, if you can get me my trident, I can turn you permanently into a mermaid. So she does. Morgana obviously betrays her, and then the whole end battle thing where she gets it back, gives it back to Triton, and he like freezes her into an ice cube and drops to the bottom of the sea. And, you know, problem solved. Cool. She can go back to the sea now. The animation is really good at some parts. Like, we open with beautiful scenery, and then the rest of it looks just like, you know, your typical straight to DVD sequel animation, which is fine. You can get over it. The songs in this movie bop a lot harder than the prequel. Not as hard as the original, but still way harder than the prequel. They're a lot more catchy than the prequel. The opening scene for this, when Morgana wrecks the party, is the most chaotic thing ever. The first time I watched it, I hadn't seen it in like years, and I had to rewind it literally 3 times just to figure out what the heck was going on. The second time I watched it, like after I figured it all out, all I could think was, wow, Morgana needs to lay off on the Botox. So 12 years later, when we see the walls being built, Melody's rebelling. Like, this is why you should have told her. It's honestly a frustrating plotline, which is fine because that's not any fault of the writers or the movies. It's just frustrating. It's like, dang, I wish she would have known about the sea. I wish she would have known that she's half mermaid. She would have loved that. I love the scene where Melody is getting ready for her own birthday party, and she and Ariel like have a cute moment, and she's afraid of not fitting in. It's just so sweet. I also love the part where Ariel says to Melody,
Everyone has trouble fitting in at your age. I know I did. I was a regular fish out of water. You? No way.
no, you don't get it. She was a literal fish out of water. So at Melody's party, there were a bunch of kids who were talking behind her back, which, like, I feel bad for her, but I actually really like it because it's not the typical everybody, you know, is like so kind and always know that they can't get on their bad side because she's a princess. Like, regardless of the fact that she's a princess, they think she's weird, which is kind of refreshing from the regular plot, like, oh, you're a princess, I have to be on your good side or whatever the frick. And it's like, it's different from being humble and being like, oh no, you don't have to bow or you don't have to call me your highness. Like, they actually don't like her. Like, it's sad, but it's really refreshing. I don't know how I feel about Ursula and Morgana being sisters. Like, it's kind of interesting, but also it's just kind of effortless and felt like the obvious choice for a plot. Like, it feels like it didn't have very much thought put behind it. They were like, oh, let's just do them that, you know, let's just do sisters because that's easy. Although it is mentioned that Ursula was the favorite sister over Morgana, and that's kind of her motivations, like proving that she is better than Ursula. But like, honestly, I can see why Ursula was the favorite. Like, we stan a sass queen like her. I can't not mention this. When she gets to Morgana's lair, she's telling her, like, I can turn you into a mermaid, and Melody is talking to a literal half human, half octopus, and she's like, mermaids aren't real. There's also one scene that I cannot finish this video without talking about. I have to put it in because it's bugged me since literally the first time I watch it. Look at this. Like, why did they put that in and think, oh yeah, her neck can just grow a foot, that looks perfect? Like, why is that in there?
Ariel?
Flounder?
Ariel!
Look how they massacred my boy.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really like the new sidekicks. They do add to the story, and I thought that maybe I didn't like them because they were useless, but they're not. They actually add to the story. They're just not Sebastian or Scuttle or Flounder, and they never will be, and I don't know. Triton's care for Melody throughout the whole movie is just so cute. It's so obvious how much he cares for her, and it's so sad to know that he couldn't be there with her. I really wish we'd gotten to see more of their relationship, but we didn't, and it's so sad. Of course, this is on the movie, or the writing at all. It's just how it had to be for the sake of the plot, and it's so sad. Okay, so at the end, after Morgana's defeated, Triton is offering her, I can either turn you into a mermaid, or you can come live with me, or you can still be human and live with your parents, or whatever. And she's like, I have a better idea, and then takes down the wall. Like, Morgana's gone. Was that not already the plan? Like, were they just gonna leave the wall up? The last scene was supposed to be, like, super cute, and it was. I love the last scene. But literally, all I could think of was, girl, you're gonna ruin that dress. Overall, 8 out of 10, will watch again. Alright. So the series, the Little Mermaid series that you didn't know existed. This was a very half effort, just like put it out there just to make some extra money. It's the Little Mermaid, so people will watch it kind of a thing. So, and again, just for time's sake, I wasn't going to talk about the series, but after seeing the second episode, I had no choice. So the first one, I mean, I'm just going to briefly touch on that because it was really weird. Sebastian is sent to make peace with the Sharkanians. Like, is that the best name they could come up with? Their design is not my favorite. Like, I really don't like their design. They don't look as intimidating as they're made out to be. They look like literal stuffed animals. I do want to note one continuity issue. As I said before, there's a scene in the first, the prequel, where it shows Ariel and Flounder meeting for the first time, but there also is a clip at some point in the series where Ariel and Flounder meet as like little kids. So, okay, so the second episode, I'm scared. Okay. So there's a wild seahorse. His name is Stormy. He is guarded by this country wheat-eating mermaid. And Ariel sees him and decides she's going to ride him and will stop at nothing. The plot is so packed and so chaotic, it like almost literally gave me a headache. It was crazy. So the seahorse grunts like a man. His noises and like little, what are supposed to be animal sounds, sound like a literal person just kind of making weird noises into the microphone. Like it doesn't sound like an animal. We basically establish in all of the other movies that all of the sea creatures are sentient. I mean, they're like humans, but they're fish. Like, they can think like humans and talk like humans and whatever. So she wants to ride a seahorse man who for some reason can't say no. Like, what is this? And this whole time I just kept thinking he's that one fat he's pregnant. Then there's this one scene, she's crying into her pillow. It's a stupid scene, honestly, but her pillow is a sea sponge and has giant holes in it. Like, it looks like cheese. There is one part where there's a literal lightning storm underwater. So at the end, she finally rides this seahorse. She falls off and like hits her head or something, and honestly, I just scoffed. Like, I'm sorry, I just scoffed. She deserved that. I'm sorry. When she wakes up from her concussion, she's automatically like, oh my gosh, Daddy, thank you for keeping me safe. Like, I understand why you told me I couldn't ride Stormy, which was a really quick change of heart. Like how hard did she hit her head? Anyway, that's all I have to say because that's all I physically can say. This episode was just so chaotic and incomprehensible, and I couldn't say more if I wanted to. So I'm going to rank all of the movies from worst to best. The series was the worst. I get it's just a money-making thing, but for the sake of this ranking, it comes last. Like, it was especially for that second episode, it was so chaotic, it was so half effort. For third place, I have to put Return to the Sea, the sequel, because I love this movie so much, and honestly I prefer it over the prequel. The story of the prequel just makes more sense, it's more fleshed out, and it has more effort. I love the sequel, but just like in comparison, it just is, I mean, it's the typical straight to DVD Disney sequel, like just a money grab. So I love the movie, but it's gonna have to come in third place. And in second place, the prequel, because again, it's a lot more fleshed out, the storyline makes more sense, it's more unique, and the animation is really good. And of course, first place goes to, and will always go to, the original. I love the original so much. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Sorry for the chaoticness of this. I know it wasn't super structured. I just wanted to talk about it because I love these movies. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time. Bye.